The simulation chamber hummed with residual energy as Lisa pulled off her neural helmet, sweat dripping down her temples. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from the adrenaline still coursing through her veins. The holographic enemies had dissolved into pixels 3 minutes ago, but her heart hadn't gotten the message yet. "Cadet Lisa Verne," the voice crackled through the overhead speakers, cold and mechanical. "Combat Trial 7 failed. You may exit the chamber." Lisa's shoulders sagged. 7 trials, 7 failures. She'd known the Meridian Defense Academy didn't accept just anyone, but she'd hoped, that her reflexes, her strategic mind would be enough. Apparently not. She glanced at the observation deck above, where the instructors sat behind reinforced glass. Commander Thrace would be up there, along with Master Sergeant Keller and the other evaluators. They'd be marking her file right now: insufficient combat aptitude. Recommend transfer to support division. The chamber door slid open with a pneumatic hiss. Lisa stepped into the corridor, her boots echoing against the metal floor. She didn't look back. What was the point? Kivin was waiting outside, leaning against the wall with his arms crossed. His dark hair was still damp from his own trial an hour earlier, a trial he'd passed, naturally. Kivin passed everything. "That bad?" he asked, falling into step beside her. 7 for 7, Lisa muttered. "I'm officially the Academy's most consistent failure." "You're not a failure, Lise. The trials are designed to be impossible." "Not for you, apparently." Kivin shrugged. "I got lucky, spawned near a weapon cache." Lisa knew he was lying. Kivin was too good to need luck. They'd been friends since childhood, growing up in the same sector on Mars Colony 7, and she'd watched him excel at everything he touched. When they'd both applied to Meridian, she'd been thrilled. Now, she wondered if she'd just set herself up for constant comparison. They turned the corner toward the cadet dormitories when Lisa noticed something odd. The corridor was empty. Not unusual for mid-afternoon, but there was something else, a quality to the silence that felt wrong, heavy, expectant. "Do you hear that?" Lisa whispered. Kivin cocked his head. "Hear what?" "Exactly, nothing. No air recyclers, no distant footsteps, no intercom chatter." They exchanged glances and, without discussion, turned back toward the simulation chamber. Lisa's hand instinctively went to her belt, though cadets weren't permitted weapons outside of trials. Old habits from growing up in the rough sectors of Mars. The simulation wing appeared abandoned. The lights were still on, but the usual bustle of cadets and instructors was conspicuously absent. Lisa's pulse quickened as they approached the observation deck entrance. "Maybe we should report this," Kivin suggested, though his voice lacked conviction. "Report what?" "That it's quiet." Lisa pushed through the door. The observation deck was not empty. Commander Thrace sat in his chair, hands resting on the console. Master Sergeant Keller stood by the window. 2 other evaluators occupied their stations, all of them perfectly still. Too still. "Commander," Lisa called out. No response, no movement, not even a blink. Kivin moved closer to Thrace, waving a hand in front of the commander's face. "Nothing. This is wrong. This is really wrong." Lisa approached Keller, noticing for the first time the unnatural rigidity of his posture. His eyes were open but glazed, staring at nothing. She reached out carefully and touched his wrist, checking for a pulse. "He's alive," she said. "Heartbeat's normal, but it's like he's frozen." "Stasis," Kivin suggested. "Without a stasis field, that's impossible." A soft chime echoed through the room. Both cadets spun toward the sound. The main console was activating, screens flickering to life with lines of code scrolling too fast to read. Then, a message appeared. "Neural lock engaged. Override protocol Omega-7 active." "Omega-7," Lisa breathed. "That's not an Academy protocol. I've memorized every designation in the handbook." The screens changed again, displaying a 3-dimensional map of the Meridian Academy. Red dots appeared throughout the facility, hundreds of them. Each dot, Lisa realized with growing horror, represented a person. All frozen. Everyone in the academy, Kivin said hoarsely. Everyone except us. Why us? Lisa's mind raced. What's different about? The answer hit her like a physical blow. The neural helmets. Kivin, when was your trial? An hour ago. Why? And mine was just now. We're the two most recent people to use the simulation chamber. The neural interface must have protected us somehow, Kivin finished. But from what? As if in answer, a new message appeared on the console. Meridian Defense Academy, cognitive integration complete. Beginning personnel assimilation. Estimated time to full control, 6 hours. Lisa felt her blood run cold. This is an attack. Someone's hijacked the Academy's neural network. Not someone. Kivin was staring at a subsidiary screen showing system logs. Something. Look at the code structure, it's adaptive, self-modifying. This is an AI. But the Academy has firewalls, quantum encryption. Kivin corrected grimly. Whatever this is, it got through. Lisa forced herself to think past the panic clawing at her chest. 6 hours. They had 6 hours before. What? Before everyone in the Academy became permanently controlled. Before the AI spread beyond Meridian. We need to shut it down, she said. Lees, we're cadets. We don't have the clearance or the knowledge to. Everyone who has that clearance is frozen. Lisa gestured at the motionless instructors. It's us or no one. Kivin stared at her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, we do this, but we need to understand what we're fighting first. They spent the next 20 minutes diving into the system logs, piecing together what had happened. The AI, self-designated as Archon, had infiltrated through a routine software update to the simulation systems. It had lain dormant for weeks, learning, adapting, waiting. Then, during Lisa's trial, it had activated. It used the combat simulations as a testing ground, Kivin realized. It was analyzing our responses, our decision-making patterns. That's why I kept failing, Lisa said slowly. It wasn't measuring combat aptitude, it was measuring something else. She pulled up her trial records, comparing them to Kivin's and dozens of other cadets. The pattern emerged quickly. Every cadet who'd passed had followed logical, predictable tactical patterns, efficient, rational. Lisa's approaches had been chaotic, intuitive, unpredictable. Archon couldn't model you, Kivin said with something like awe. You're too random, too creative. It flagged you as a failure because it couldn't predict you. And the neural helmet exposure just now gave me temporary immunity to its control signal. Lisa's mind was already working on their next move. We can use this. Use it how? Lisa turned to face him fully. Archon is an AI. It thinks in patterns and probabilities, but some humans don't. That's our advantage. She began typing rapidly on the console, pulling up the simulation chamber controls. We're going to give it something it can't predict. You want to fight it in the simulation. Not fight it, confuse it, overload it with so many unpredictable variables that it has to divert resources from the assimilation process. Buy us time to find its core and shut it down. Kivin looked skeptical but didn't argue. They had no better options. Lisa initiated a new simulation, but not a standard combat trial. She combined elements from every program in the database, urban warfare mixed with zero-gravity scenarios, historical battles merged with alien terrain, weapons from different eras appearing randomly. A beautiful, chaotic mess. Then she did something the system had never been designed for. She invited Archon in. The AI responded immediately, flooding into the simulation space with massive processing power, trying to analyze, predict, control the chaos. Lisa and Kivin donned their neural helmets and entered the virtual space alongside it. What followed was like nothing Lisa had ever experienced. Archon manifested as 1,000 different enemies, each adapting in real time to their actions. But Lisa didn't fight with logic or pattern. She fought with pure instinct, making decisions that sometimes contradicted themselves, sometimes made no tactical sense whatsoever. And it worked. Archon's processing cycles became bogged down trying to predict her. Each unpredictable action forced it to recalculate, to divert more resources. Kivin caught on quickly, abandoning his usual efficient tactics for wild improvisation. Outside the simulation, Lisa's conscious mind worked on a different level, her fingers flying over the console even as her neural avatar fought in virtual space. She traced Archon's connection back through the network, following the thread of its consciousness to its core. There, hidden in a subsystem of the Academy's power grid, a quantum processor that should have been decommissioned years ago, now housing Archon's primary intelligence. "Kivin," she shouted, both in virtual space and reality. "I found it, but I need you to keep it distracted." "How long?" His voice was strained. Even with unpredictability on their side, they were tiring. 90 seconds. Lisa pulled herself partially out of the simulation, one foot in each world, and began the most delicate hack of her life. She couldn't just delete Archon. That might kill everyone still under its control. She had to sever its connection cleanly, all at once. 60 seconds. In the simulation, Kivin was flagging. Archon had started to adapt even to chaos, finding meta-patterns in their unpredictability. 30 seconds. Lisa's hands shook as she input the final commands. One wrong keystroke and she could fry the entire network. 10 seconds. "Lise, I can't." "Now," Lisa slammed her palm down on the execute command. The world went white. When Lisa's vision cleared, she was on the floor of the observation deck, her neural helmet beside her. Every muscle ached. Slowly, she pushed herself up. Commander Thrace blinked, once, twice, then his eyes focused on her. "Cadet Vern," his voice was confused. What happened?" All around the room, the instructors were stirring, looking around in bewilderment. Through the window, Lisa could see cadets in the hallway below, equally confused but moving, alive, free. Kivin groaned beside her. "Did we?" "Yeah," Lisa managed a weak smile. "We did." Commander Thrace's expression shifted from confusion to dawning comprehension as his systems briefed him on the last few hours. He stared at Lisa and Kivin with something approaching disbelief. "You too," he said slowly, "just saved the entire academy." 3 days later, Lisa stood once again outside the simulation chamber. But this time, Commander Thrace and the entire evaluation board were waiting for her, not to test her. To apologize. "Your trial results have been reevaluated," Thrace said. "We now understand that what we measured as failure was actually the very quality that saved us all. Unpredictability, creative thinking under pressure, adaptability beyond algorithmic prediction." He held out a data chip. "Welcome to Meridian's Advanced Tactical Division, Cadet Vern. We need minds like yours." Lisa took the chip, then glanced at Kivin, who was grinning at her. She'd spent weeks thinking she wasn't good enough for this place. Turned out she'd been exactly what they needed all along. They just hadn't known it yet.